Hello, my name is Raimund, Chief Technology Officer of Trend Micro. Every few years, my team of experts is looking at the always changing threat landscape, and we try to come up with threat predictions. We did this in 2005, and thanks to this, we actually figured out that we have to do something fundamentally new, and we came up with a so-called smart protection network to provide protection from the cloud and for the cloud. So has this changed? Has the threat landscape changed at all? Yeah, I would say the bad guys have adapted to new attack schemes, to a new internet economy. So I think it's time to come up with new threat predictions. So here's the threat predictions for 2010 and beyond. Actually, as predicted in 2005, no global outbreaks anymore. We don't see this stuff anymore. The bad guys, they don't want to generate public attention. They don't want to be in the news. They want to hijack a computer and they want to own an infected computer as long as possible. What we expect now is even more regional and targeted attacks. A few years ago, it was easy to figure out for me as a German that it's a malware. Because the mail was badly written, a hell of spelling mistakes and so on. So even if somebody knew my name, knew my hobby by, Googling me, by looking at my social networks and so on, I knew that it is suspicious. Because, somehow the spelling was wrong, the grammar was wrong, all of this, not anymore. The bad guys, they're earning so much money that, they could hire translators, not a problem anymore. And thanks to this, unfortunately, more and more regional and targeted attacks. And of course, it's all about money. The bad guys, they really use Google Analytics, they use all kind of marketing tools to figure out how successful their malware spreading campaigns actually are. They really try to figure out how to make the biggest bang for the buck. They know how to play the systems. They know even how to play Google ratings nowadays to ensure that their clicks are on top. They replace advertisement banners and all this kind of stuff. They're extremely creative in making money. So it's really all about money. We also looked at Windows 7 and what impact Windows 7 will have on the threat landscape, on the bad guys. Because, it's a new operating system from Microsoft. It's the most advanced operating system from Microsoft. And based on this, we thought, hey, it's a safer operating system. And then we looked into it and we came up with the conclusion that usability of Windows 7 is great, but security, safety, we are not so sure. When you install Windows 7 by default, for example, you don't see any warnings anymore if your antivirus is outdated or deactivated and so on. With Windows XP, with Windows 7, you see, with Windows XP, different to Windows 7, you see pop-up messages, you see all kind of stuff. It's the same with Windows Vista. With Windows 7, you don't see it anymore. You just see that an icon in the right-hand corner by default is changing its shape slightly. And I really doubt that, my mother will spot this at all, or my kids, or my spouse, or whatever. Really difficult to spot this, so Microsoft has done a great job in usability, in security. Time will tell. And it's also clear that the bad guys all know that Microsoft Windows 7 has a high acceptance rate. All the modern malware written is working for Windows 7 as well. In the past, a lot of security experts stated that it's better to use alternative browsers, for example, to switch from Microsoft Internet Explorer to Firefox, risk mitigation using alternative browsers. This is again not true anymore, because Firefox is a mainstream browser, same for the other open source browsers or also Apple Safari, and all these browsers are used in attacks as well. Vulnerabilities are used there. No browser, unfortunately, has no vulnerability, and the bad guys know the moment a browser has a certain market share, they have to figure out how to use this in their favor, actually. And it's the same with operating systems. Till recently, it was really Microsoft all the time. But now with other operating systems getting more and more, gaining more and more popularity, for example, macOS from Apple, we see more and more viruses, more and more malware actually for Apple. And we predict that this will happen with other systems as well. If Google Android, for example, as a mobile operating system gets a decent market share, we are sure that we will see viruses, malware over there as well. And the malware we see nowadays, it's actually changing its shape constantly. Every 3 hours we see that a malware family actually reinvents itself. Every 1.5 seconds we have to analyze a new malware in our lab. So really a difficult, a challenging task. This is why I'm so happy that Trend Micro as a company invested in Smart Protection Network, because we could change the cloud protection, which is protecting all the end users extremely fast. Drive-by infections have been a thing in the last 3 years. They're still out there, and it's really getting worse and worse. We see more and more infiltrated websites. You go to a website, you go into a sports site you know, you like, and out of the sudden the sports site is pointing to a malware. And automatically the malware is executed and is infecting the operating system. The user doesn't need to click on it, the user doesn't need to do anything besides visiting this web page. So this is extremely effective for the bad guys. And unfortunately, the bad guys sometimes even overload the web servers, so they create wanted or unwanted distributed denial of service attack with this. Virtualization is a hot topic. We see more and more virtualized environments, and we are a little bit concerned because the same problem who are there with for normal servers are there for virtualized servers, but out of the sudden, you have more threats. You have to rethink your complete security architecture, because inter-VMware communication is not intercepted, is not filtered by a firewall, is not filtered by a intrusion prevention system and so on. Not at all. All the traffic within VMs is not visible. So by introducing VMs, virtual machines, by betting on virtual machines, we also have to rethink the complete security architecture within an enterprise. Otherwise, it's actually less secure than before. So be careful there. Bots is a big problem. Spam bots have been around for long, and they might be around forever, because we haven't seen a real change in user behavior. We haven't seen that users really are taking more care, are more careful using the internet, taking more care about the usage of their computers. We recently ran a statistic, and we realized, and this was shocking for us as well, that the average time a computer is infected with a spam bot is 200 days, but there's also a huge amount of computers which are infected for over 2 years. This means that actually the malware never is detected, the malware never is cleaned, is removed from the infected machine. This means that normally when you throw out the computer, when you update the operating system, hopefully the malware is gone. But otherwise, the malware always is on this computer and is sending out spam. Shocking, actually. And what we also have heard a lot are company shaken data breaches. And this will go on, and there was a study recently released from Verizon, and in this study it stated that 80% of all data leakage events have been happened due to malware. So the malware actually might only look for credit card information, but it's a keylogger recording every piece of information the user is typing. And then this information, together with screenshots, what's happening on the screen, is sent out to a so-called command and control center. So the bad guys just have stolen maybe extremely confidential information. So more and more data breaches, human being mistake, but also malware controlled. And not only this, social networks. Be extremely careful regarding social networks. Be extremely careful what the users, if you are in an enterprise, what your users are typing in a social network. Because this could be used to create another targeted attack. To do a social engineering pitch, to send an email to an individual, like what happened during Operation Aurora, where the individual, just wants to click on it because it's from a Facebook friend or whatever. So be extremely careful how much you reveal in social networks. And not only this, social networks are also used as a malware distribution platform nowadays. We see so much within Facebook, within Skype, even within commercial, professional networks like LinkedIn and so on. But yeah, the worst is really the wide open platforms where it's mainly about social life and so on. So be extremely careful what you're clicking on. Thanks.